This video guide you how to do factory reset and firmware update of a CISCO Unified IP phone series. This describes more in detail how to do CISCO Unified IP phone 7970G factory reset and firmware update through TFTPd64 Server, and a TFT server configuration also described in here. Static IP should be configured to the Ethernet port of PC or laptop. TFT server DHCP pool should be configured according to the Ethernet port of PC or laptop. Downloaded firmware files folder should be root directory of the TFT server. Firmware files having an extension of SBN and load should be on this folder. Required specific firmware files you can download through a product support collaboration endpoint at cisco.com webpage. The upper picture shows how the cable connection should be at normal operation, and the picture at left below shows how the cable connection should be ready for firmware update. You will notice that phone itself start to copy in firmware files from the TFT server and install itself into the flash memory. After installation process has done, you can have access of the information through the web using the phone IP address. This 7970 IP phone having firmware version of 9.2.1. Now I'm going to do factory reset and install 9.3.1 version. First of all, should be configured Ethernet port of laptop and issue a static IP address, subnet mask, default gateway and DNS server IP address. Select the network connections through the control panel, network and internet dialog box, and right click the Ethernet port and click the properties button. Then scroll down to the internet protocol version 4 and double click on it. Instead of obtain an IP address automatically, you can choose the radio button. Use the following IP address, then change the IP address according to your network and subnet mask, default gateway and DNS server IP address. All these IP addresses and subnet masks are being saved in a flash memory by ipphone for its future users. You can cross-check all the information saves properly pressing the detail button of the Ethernet port. Execute the TFT server application and choose the server interface as which you are given a static IP address of the Ethernet port of your laptop. Then press the setting button. TFT settings dialog box appear. Choose the DHCP folder. Configure the DHCP pool addresses according to the Ethernet port of the laptop, default router, subnet mask and DNS server IP addresses should be the similar, and the IP pool start address you can have in a different number and size of pool be smaller. It is not a big issue. Under DHCP settings, you have to check the bind DHCP to this address. That address should be Ethernet port IP address which you are given the statistically. It is in my case 192.168.1.220. These IP addresses and subnet masks must match to the Ethernet port of laptop which we defined as a static IP address of the laptop. Choose TFT folder and select the checkbox bind TFT to this address. You have to select the IP address of Ethernet port of laptop. Press the browse button of the TFT folder and find out the file path where you have already saved the firmware files. That should be under the TFT root directory. You have to select that firmware file folder. The phone already exists in the firmware version 9.2.1 sccp, the Cisco proprietary protocol. Now I'm going to factory reset and install the new version 9.3.1 SIP protocol. TFT security should be in on and press OK button. Then it will go back to the previous menu. Press the show directory button. It will show 5 different files with extension of SBN and 3 different files with extension of loads. Term 70 default .loads file is the index file, that is the ipphone 7970 looking for to initialize with the TFT server before installation the firmware to flash memory. All the Cisco IP phone models firmware is available on Cisco webpage support, product support under collaboration endpoints, but only the problem is 7900 series IP phone models firmware is not available due to end of support on 2023, but you can find it on the web if you are searching on it. The third step is how we can do the cable connection. These 2 different pictures shows 2 different cable connection. One is normal operation and above picture. Then other picture, left side picture shows for how we can keep the cable connection when we are doing the firmware update. To update the firmware of the phone, you can turn other side of the phone and you can see the dual RJ45 ports. Then you have to 2 UTP cable has to connect to the switch using these ports, and 1 UTP cable has to connect a computer and to the switch. Here uses power over Ethernet port switch, therefore not necessary to direct power adapter to connect to the IP phone or power injector to power up IP phone. The phone already having skinny client control protocol, that is the Cisco proprietary protocol version 9.2.1, and going to install the session initiation protocol call is a SIP protocol 9.3.1. Before that, do the factory resetting of the phone. While keep pressing the hash button of the numeric keypad of the phone, you have to disconnect the power of the phone. Then reconnect the power while holding the hash button until the speaker bulb goes off. If you are using the UTP switch port, you have to remove the cable and replug the cable again. If you are direct or use power cable, you have to disconnect and reconnect the power. When the speaker lights goes off, then start to blink right side of the lights of the phone. At that time you have to type on the numeric keypad 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 asterisk 0 hash. If it is factory reset properly, the MAC address of the IP phone shows on the control panel. The IP phone sends in an ARP request with its MAC address to the TFT server to lease the IP address from the TFT server. Sometimes it itself sends in an IP address to register with the TFT server. This is a very good example for that. IP phone send in a 192.168.1.254 to lease the IP address from the TFT server, but TFT server is not registering that. It's proposed different IP address like 192.168.1.224 IP address to lease. In such a situation, you have to remove the UTP cable from the switch or power off the phone and reconnect the UTP cable to the switch. Then it will negotiate the right IP address from the TFT proposed and will synchronize the communication. After synchronizations occurred with in between TFT server and telephone, the connection will stabilize and ready to copy firmware files to the phone. The phone requests from the TFT server to copy the key index file of term70.default.load files to flash memory. After copying the term70.default file, then it will continue with copying other SBN files to the flash memory of the file. Copying is continue until the 5 checkboxes get ticked. All the SBN file has been copied, then all the checkboxes will be tick marked, and after that it start to in sequence order to install itself to into the flash memory. Then all the checkboxes will be getting gray color. You can see how the files copied from TFT server to the phone using this dual screen. All the checkboxes became a gray color. That's mean the installation has completed successfully. Then phone itself automatically restart and get into the operation menu. Please subscribe my channel and write a comments, share the link with your friends and thumbs up. Thank you. Successful installation means of that the screen of the phone get in a background color of dark clouds. When you press the button having a tick mark at the right lower middle of the phone, then you will get it the 7970G phone settings menus. Each menu category having a subcategories. You can read using the below buttons more information of that subcategory. Same information of the phone you can read through the web-based browser through the phone IP address. You may see on the network configuration category, there's a subcategory called IPv4 configuration. Under that, you can see the IP addresses, subnet masks, default gateway, and DNS server IP addresses. Please subscribe my channel and write a comments, share the link with your friends and thumbs up. Thank you. You can easily access all the information of the phone using its IP address through web-based browser issuing the IP address of 192.168.1.224. In your case might be different IP address. You can check the IP address with your phone and issue the IP on a web-based browser and check the information. Please recommend this video to your friends and share with them. Copy the link at LinkedIn. Share it in social media too. Thank you so much. Meet you again with another video soon.